So, I'll let you discern, okay? If you feel like you've got it, you've got it, okay? So let's start with an easy one. Everybody's got an email? Yes. Good, okay, everybody's got an email, everybody's got a phone. Facebook? Okay, we're doing well. Instagram? No, that's fine. That's fine, we're still good, we're still good. Okay, Twitter? Twitter? Okay, LinkedIn? Oh. Okay. Round of applause for these fine folks that are still standing. Bonus marks, anybody with a YouTube channel? Oh. Hey. Okay. Really? Yes! Is it on, I think it was cows? Is that what you're doing on YouTube channel? Was it the cow course that you ran on there?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so, as we can see, social media networks are varied, and that's for a reason. When I say, okay, well, if you sat down on Instagram, that's okay. I'm not pointing at anybody in specific there. Just, if you don't have a network, that's relevant, because the people that you engage with aren't on those other networks, clearly. Otherwise, you would have them, okay? This is one of the big things that I do with brands. When I plug into a brand, I help them realize you don't have to do everything. I don't know who told the lie at some point that every brand and every person must have every app, except for me, because I have to do that for work. But you guys don't. For you guys, what I really love about 4-H is how in touch with your communities you guys are. So, for those of you that are engaging with people on Instagram, it's because your community's on Instagram. If all you have is Facebook, it's because that's all you need, Facebook. So that's some of the things that I do with brands is help them realize your community, wherever they are, the conversations they're having, that's what we need to focus on, okay? So, that being said, if we pull up the 4-H hashtag for this event, who knows it?
2019.
Who's posted to it? Okay. So, this is going to be the first practical application for the day. I would like you to take your phones, open your social network that you like to use. Okay. With your biggest smile on, take a picture of you at your table. If you are really uncomfortable, and I mean super, super uncomfortable with that, you can take a photo with a friend, okay?
You're part of the family now.
Okay, with your picture, write a little bit of text saying, having so much fun at 4-H Camp 2019. The communications team is going to love this room, because up until this point, the majority of posts are either me looking goofy or the communications team taking photos. Is that done?
Posted.
Awesome. I can't wait to see them all tonight. Okay, so how painful was that? Does everybody have all of their fingers still? Nobody's bleeding out onto the floor? No? You don't need to call the paramedics? Fantastic. So, the reality is you just did what needs to be done for your clubs and by your clubs for the next year. Congratulations. That's the entire talk. We're done. Now we just get to have fun. No, the reality is this. It's that simple. It doesn't often seem that way, and people build up all of these massive things around social media that, oh, you've got to have this, and you've got to use this image, and it's got to have video, and then you need closed captions, and you need a background, and it has to have this. It's none of that. What I really appreciate about it, the people that I've met this weekend, I'm seeing some faces that I got to sit with and have conversations with, we are really good at having conversations as people. This club is above and beyond that. As I go to meets with my daughter, she's showing off cows. I personally am not a cow guy, I'm a tech guy, but I learned an awful lot because people are so open talking about cows. I never knew there was so much to know. And there is. I know, I'm one of those. But the reality is, you guys are great at having conversations, and that's all that we're trying to do with social. So whether you are on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, it doesn't matter. You're having a conversation with your community, okay? Now, I'm trying to keep this as unboring as possible, but who was here for the last session in this room? Awesome. Okay, the two of these go together so well. One of the big topics that we were talking about is better communications in between groups, so leaders providing insight and feedback to each other. And on top of that, we were talking about how do you attract sponsors more. Those are the two big things we're really going to tackle with digital marketing, and digital marketing with some bunny ears because it's a little bit different. The reality is this. You've got all of these wonderful little people. You'll excuse my art. My wife has trained me in stickmen, and that's about as far as I go. And you've got your two verified it's two, right? 2 leaders per club. Okay. So, most of these guys have a phone. These guys, apparently, we all have a phone, right? There's a few clubs I've seen Instagram pages for and Facebook groups for, and they're really good about taking pictures of the stuff that is made. So I see bowls of butter, plates of cookies. The only thing missing from those pictures, people.
I take pictures of the kids, but it's a private Facebook page.
Yeah,
Permission
same.
to do that.
Right, so permission is a big thing for sure. It definitely is a big thing. Having those pages set up or those groups is awfully, I would recommend a group over a page, but having that permission from parents first, letting them know that's there, but being able to share that out, having that on Instagram, showcasing that is really easy, and now more than ever, video is very easy to do. So for a lot of people who may be older in the room, like that gentleman in the back there, not the young lady sitting next to him, but the gentleman. Video isn't as scary as it may seem, but for them, they're just not familiar with how to use it. And I appreciate you being the guy. Somebody has to be the guy, and you're the one. But the reality is, people don't have to be afraid of video. It's much easier when you've got somebody else in the room that's got a camera, and you go, wow, I never knew that's how you milk a cow. How cool would this be if somebody could see their grandkid milking a cow? That hits Instagram, and people are going down their feed, and honestly, don't get me wrong, everybody loves the cat pictures, right? We've all seen them. Like, this is my cat. It's so wonderful. You got the picture of the rich guy, right? And he's got his tie and his suit and his $1 million car behind him. And the reality is you're going to go through a feed of this junk, and eventually somebody's going to get to the video of grandma or grandpa or volunteers that bleed their hours for these kids doing things with them, and people are going to stop, and they're going to pause, and they're going to take note. And this is a very powerful thing, and this is where relationship marketing really comes into play, okay? And this is what I teach to big brands, and they have a hard time with it because they don't think community works. With you guys, it's actually a lot easier because you know community works. That's what you live on. That's how your clubs survive, is on communities connecting with one another. So, as you're putting it out there, this works in 3 ways for you, okay? These kids know other kids. Makes sense, right? Simple word of mouth. But as you watch kids that are in hockey clubs, they're going around to paintball, they're going around to stuff like that, there's always pictures up there in the feed. And they brag to their friends. Hey, look what I did. I walk into my garage and my wife's got a 4-H club, Trash to Treasure, where they're playing with power tools. I promise you, if my kids had a photo on their phone that they could show their friends of, I get to play with power tools at 4-H. That is called word of mouth marketing. Every other little boy in their class goes, I want to play with power tools, right? And they plug in. It's that easy. So, how do we get more children interested in the clubs that we're doing? Let them play with power tools. I am going to have a huge chunk of time at the end of this. I'm not going to fill this whole hour with us doing this stuff. I want questions to be really the bulk of this. So if you have questions, we're going to get through these 3 simple understandings, and then it's going to be questions. It's going to be practical, and I want you guys to leave here comfortable playing on your phone. So all dinner, that's all I see. Not really, but. So we've got the kids done, and I'll put it back up here just for demonstration. I don't want you guys to forget the example. And then we've got our big people, right? This person's particularly tall. Okay, so we started with these guys, and they've got their own network that's over here, and it's fantastic because kids have TikTok and Snapchat, and they love to talk with each other and show off all the amazing things that they're doing. It's a different class. It's a whole different animal. But in reality, your kids know. If you don't know what it is, ask your niece, nephew, son, daughter. They'll tell you. Okay, super easy. But this guy here, or girl, be gender accepting, neutral. This person also has a massive network. And a lot of the times, this looks really good on their network where they're saying, I actually had a lot of fun with this. You guys typically enjoy 4-H, that's why you volunteer, right? It's not the great pay and perks, right? Okay, so you guys love it. And what do we share? Well, if we're gonna share pictures of our cat, we might as well share pictures of the clubs that we're doing, right? And the amazing thing is, this works on 2 levels. One, you know other big people. Yeah? And what can these big people do for your clubs?
Volunteer.
Volunteer.
Sponsor money.
Money! Money's good. We like money, right? So we've got, I'll put time. All of these will be available in slideshow format. We've got time and we've got dollars. Great. What else do they have?
Little people.
Little people.
They've got their own little people. That's a big one. A lot of them have their own little army of minions. What else? Fight for it. Go.
But they've got their own social media circles that they can share
Yes,
as
they've
well.
got more big people that have more money and more time. And what did that cost you to put out the post of Grandma baking cookies?
Nothing.
Nothing. Free. Free. So we've already hit a massive army of TikTok, Snapchat minions. We've got these fine Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I think that's where we stopped. I won't count YouTube. You've got bonus points. But these guys have a massive army of people. And I see a lot of parents coming out of hockey arenas drained, pissed off, and angry. And there are very few, maybe I think one 4-H event I can remember seeing an angry face. And it's because a cow stepped on his foot. So the reality is I think there's a lot more joy that comes out of what you guys are doing. And that resonates big time on social.
We piss people off too.
You're not pissed off. You're enjoying it. So that's a different thing. So the rest of the table's like, So we've got an army of minions spreading the word about 4-H for us, right? And we did talk about other ways they can do that. Rocking great 4-H swag, so t-shirts, coats, beanies, watches, whatever else we're going to plug in there. So that's one way to do it. But showing them actually doing, learn to do by doing, showing them actually doing is going to be so key. Because so many of those kids are missing out on those opportunities. I know out where we are, it seems like a lot of the kids don't have the option of high-speed internet, videos, movies, that kind of stuff. We don't have a movie theater. They want to go to a movie theater, it's an hour into Ottawa. That's not happening. So they're down with this, like, yeah, let's learn how to do puzzles and craft and hands-on. If they lived in Ottawa, tough sell. Toronto, tough sale, right? But you start showing them these things, that's a completely different animal. Hey, I went ziplining with 4-H today. Here's me going down a zip line. Tag me in, right? I want to do whatever that was. How do I do that? Oh, you tell your parents to call X, Y, or Z, and now you've got that army building here, okay? So we've got Army 1, Army 2. This is huge, okay? This second level down, these kids are kids that otherwise probably wouldn't ever hear about 4-H. And we touch on that a lot in a few conversations that I've heard where 4-H is really good about advertising within 4-H. You go to a fair, you go to a dairy market, you go to a beef sale. Who are you going to see? 4-H. Great. You go to the hockey arena.
Crickets.
Yeah. I know out by us, you go to the French schools and you get crickets because there's a lot of English there and the French community is very tight-knit. It's very, very, you gotta be French to be French. And I'm okay with that. I love the French. Poutine's fantastic. But the reality is, this helps break that down. And it doesn't do it in a pushy sales way of, come join our club, we need volunteers and money and time. And instead it's, we make cookies. Right? Okay? These kids here are really the ones that we want because these are the kids from outside the 4-H bubble. These are the kids that have never been exposed to this. I was one of these kids. I didn't hear about 4-H until she started volunteering and begged me to try. Okay? Like, this is...
I'm not there yet. You guys
I'm still not a volunteer, but I'm here, so that helps. Okay, so we've got this giant word-of-mouth bubble building, and this grows surprisingly fast. With images, it does okay. Okay, so just personally, my personal accounts, when I use images, I'm getting about 30,000 people that I reach with my images on my social networks. When I start to use video content, that spikes to 2.3 million people a month that I can reach. So 30,000 to 2.3 million. That's free. You know what my advertising budget looks like?
Zero.
I let people do it for me. That's what relational marketing is all about. You guys take the time and effort to build relationships with parents and families. You change lives, and that is worth way more than Facebook ad dollars. So the good news is, nobody here has to learn about Facebook ads. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna skip that entirely. But you've got a massive army of people here, original 4-H kids, their families, the people that they know, so on and so forth. That's gonna keep going. One of you is gonna create a viral video, probably YouTube over here. We're gonna create a viral video. It's gonna be of John teaching kids how to go backwards down a zip line. It's gonna go viral, and that's gonna go to 4-H Ontario. All of you guys will benefit from it.
You guys like
Did you guys
awkward
meet before?
things.
You're nailing his personality.
Favorite experience. There's something about YouTubers, we're all kind of... So, now we've got this massive army of people. Is everybody okay still? Nobody's still hurting from when we actually did social media? We got our phones out and did it. I don't need to go get ice. So everybody is okay, we can do this. It's not super scary. It's very easy to do. We know that it reaches a massive network. Who cares? Who are the people that care? Who can I draw on this board that
I care.
John cares!
Draw John.
So excited.
Draw John.
So
Okay.
we'll put the little shine on the...
You better keep him skinny. Yeah, thank you.
So we've got John. 4-Hers care about this. It's big because you guys like to see that. And more what I'm hearing is you wish you could see easily what other clubs were doing, hearing successes. And there's a few tools that I passed on to your vice president that I said, a Slack channel for you guys would be awesome. It's an easy way for you to get actual ideas to each other. But beyond that, what's Slack? It's a different talk. But we'll get there. It's not intimidating either. It's really good. But just being able to pop onto Facebook, type 4-H in, and see what all the other clubs are up to, that would be huge for you guys. Not only that, I guarantee you, if Amy sees your name right in the back. Leanne, where are you from?
Wellington.
Okay, so Amy wants to run a Lego club. Leanne knocks a Lego club out of Wellington. She just, bam, we had 50 kids show up and it was remarkable and everybody loved it. And Amy goes,
That happened to June.
okay, June did it. And Amy goes, I want to do this, but I suck with Lego. I've got 6 little girls. They don't really like Lego. How the heck am I going to do this? But she sees June rocking it. Is she going to share June's stuff that she put out there? Yes. Is she going to contact June and say, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me? Yes. Are you guys more interconnected than ever? Yes. Great. So, 4-Hers care. Fantastic. Who else cares?
Region 2 cares.
I guess I get to hop on that Region 2 chain by proxy. Is that how that works? Okay, so Region 2 cares. That's nice. They're part of 4-H, so we got that covered. Somebody said the P word. Parents. Why do parents care?
Because you're paying.
Because you're paying us. That's why they care.
Because they want a positive experience for the kids.
Right. This is what they care about. At the end of the day, this is their priority. And to be honest, a lot of clubs these days, the fun is gone, and it's turned into this awful burden on a kid, and there's stress, and there's anxiety. Kids breaking down in hockey arenas because of the amount of pressure put on them in Pee-wee hockey. Like, sorry, as a parent, I will skip that every day of the week.
There's a lot of good things about hockey.
I'm not beating up on hockey for no reason. I'm not. It's literally, if I see a kid breaking down at an event, whether it's soccer, hockey, baseball, the pressure that's there, okay? It doesn't matter if it's sports. I've seen kids break down at speech competitions. So I haven't seen a kid break down yet at 4-H, which is why I'm not picking on them. I have. I watched her cuddle her cow as she lost, but there was no crying. There was a lovely.
We've seen some lions.
Don't tell me that. I'm sure it was the kind of adversity that Chris was talking about this morning that was good adversity, as opposed to dad yelling at a referee and getting the kid embarrassed, right? So this is what they care about. And this is what they care about. And this is what they care about. And 4-H does a really great job of all of that. When you say it's $100 for a year for your kid to do all of this, that's nuts. I don't know any parent that goes, sorry, $100 for each event? Or $100 for the whole thing? The whole thing. Okay, yes. Sign me up, sign me in, get me going. So we covered this for them, we covered this, they know that they're gonna have the amount of processes you have to go to be a volunteer. That's the only reason I'm not a volunteer. It's because you're so rigorous. And as a parent, I appreciate that, right? So again, this is covered. You guys do a great job of taking care of these kids and guiding them, nurturing them. And then this is a big one too. Now they don't have to constantly attend signups for every single club that comes up down the road, every single meeting. How many clubs did you guys do in your?
In Prescott, 28 last year.
Okay, 28 clubs last year with how many volunteers?
Not enough.
How many? 6, 8?
17
Okay,
last
17.
year. 16
So
maybe.
17, 26 clubs. It's a lot of work. The only thing she swears to is, I will never be a hockey mom. And again, I'm not picking on hockey, it's just sports is a large commitment. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of travel involved. This is all about local community. Local. Local's a lot of fun because that means, well, in our area, a half-hour drive at most, right? If you're in Toronto, I imagine it's probably a little bit closer than that, not necessarily a half hour away. No, it's still a half hour? Okay, great. Well, traffic, of course. Everything, right? So we've got this group of 4-Hers care. Parents obviously care because you're knocking off the 3 things that they actually want out of a club, right? Time, money, kids. Who else cares? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. They love it. And again, coming back. Come on! It looks like a maple leaf from back there, right?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. But this is it. This is what's at the core of it, is not only do we get this free marketing back here, right? Everybody's interconnected. People really get that community vibe because all we're doing is taking out our phones and doing what we did at the beginning. Now we've got 4-Hers that care and are connected and are growing and learning how to do new clubs and making new connections and getting new support. We've got parents that care because their kids are cared for. They're saving money. They're saving time. Now we've got McDonald's going, you have how many million people following that hashtag? Let's give you some more money for that, shall we? Betty Crocker's going, you make how many cookies in a year? We want you making Betty Crocker cookies, right? Oh, hi, we're Etsy. You guys make crafts in your clubs? Can we sponsor 4-H now? But this doesn't happen? Come on. It's supposed to be seamless. Pretend I just did that. Unless we've got this. And this doesn't happen unless there's a serious debunking of the fear around social media. Okay? So, this is the nuts and bolts of the presentation. That's the heart of it. Now is time for questions. And I really wanted to leave the time for that.
So comment.
Yeah,
All right?
comment. Okay.
All right. So I made this comment this morning in one of the sessions. We as 4-H people, I mean, we're big supporters, believe in the program, but I've long said we're also a modest community and we don't sell ourselves as highly as we should. We need to be out on social media as much as possible, and when you see something that somebody else has posted, share it and get it out into other circles. Just like you said, we need to be more noisy, or else.
We may
Yeah.
not want to brag about ourselves, but we want to brag about our kids, right?
Sure.
Right? Like, that's all I post about.
I'm up here. Let me do it.
Yeah.
But that's exactly it. Most people don't like to brag on themselves. YouTubers are an exception. But most people don't. But what we do want to do is give credit where credit is due. And I know the first time I watched my daughter, and you're going to get me crying, but when you watch your daughter walk out with that cow for her first dairy show, and she's put in all those hours of blood, sweat, and tear, and then that stupid cow sits down in the ring, it's a beef cow now. But that goes on social. That has to go out on social of, this kid kicked that cow's butt for 6 months and it sat down. She kicked it so hard. But you brag that up and that goes a mile a minute. My parents hadn't even heard of 4-H. They were like, this is nuts. What are you doing with dairy cows and nonsense like that? But then they see what it is, and they go, why weren't you in this? We did a bad job as... No. But the reality
And
is...
it shows. Kidding.
I blame her! No, seriously. It's amazing to see that we are very quick to give praise to others. I had an amazing volunteer that helped me out with this. They came in, they were a bit... This isn't an actual person, this is hypothetical. But the RKD sponsored this, right? So RKD, you have a club that wants to learn about website design, maybe an app, maybe camera graphics, maybe something of that nature, right? You invite Arcade, Snapchat, TikTok. They need to come in and teach you guys all about it, right? So what you do is you invite them in. That brand is going to get exposure because you're taking photos of that brand. Thank you so much, RKD, for coming in and taking the time to speak to our club. Your club's getting exposure, that brand's getting exposure. Tell me the next person you reach out to and say, we'd really love to have your brand come and show these kids something. They're not going to tap in on that, knowing that you got this massive network of people that's going to promote that brand.
Bam.
Yeah.
Plus, when you do have a club sponsor, thank them on social media, not a letter.
Yeah.
And then everybody sees it.
The letter's nice. It's going to go in the burn pile as soon as they read it. So the social media is there forever. And that's the other thing about social media that I really love. It doesn't disappear. Even Twitter. A lot of people used to think Twitter was there and then it was gone. It's not. It stays around forever. Videos I put up in December are still getting views. So you put it on social, it's there. It builds that presence. And again, it builds community. When somebody searches 4H, what was it? Hashtag 4HCam 2019. If there's only pictures of one goofball and those two wonderful folks in the back, wave wonderful folks in the back. Yes, you, the communications team. So if that's all they see, they're going to go, that wasn't so great. That wasn't so wonderful. When they see a whole room of people from all kinds of different places, all kinds of different walks, all kinds of experts on YouTube, what we're going to have is more people keying in going, that looks like me. That looks like my family. That looks like my kids. That looks like something I want them to do, something to be a part of, and bam, you're off and running. So, comment. I love the comment. Thanks, John. Questions?
So I understand and agree with this, like, you post something, they share. But on things that kids use now, this is the oldest lady question I've ever asked.
Sweet! Somebody record this. No.
The Facebook.
You as leaders really have to be, and the parents that are around have to know you can't take a picture of
Yep. So,
BB because BB's not allowed to be on the internet.
So identify those kids, know who they are, but every time you take a picture, I always try to make sure I'm saying, okay, this is for Facebook, I let
But also
them
you
know.
can designate that person as the photographer so that they're still part of the.
You can also, you can put emojis over kids' faces.
That's
like
true,
you
too.
should, because I'm a teacher who can't post pictures.
Right.
but I post pictures.
so all of the chatter is awesome. I want to get all of those ideas down so everybody heard those. So what if you have a kid that can't have a photo taken of them? They can be the photographer. Great, you're now running a photography club as well. They can have an emoji. That's those funny smiley faces. Put over their face. If you really want to. I like this idea a lot better than this, but
We always have a vote for photographer in our clubs
so
as one of the.
it's a simple way to go, and everybody's got a phone, and it's really easy. But I do appreciate that as well. There are people that do not want to be photographed, and that's fine. My wife is one of them. That's why she's on the camera, and I'm up here. It's just a reality. People don't want to be photographed, and that's fine. They don't have to. But there are a lot of people that do. And another thing that I see happening a lot is when I go into a business and I say, this business is doing video now, 9 out of 10 people go, I'm not. But as they start to do it, and that one person who said yes starts to do it and they see the results from it, then it's 2. Then it's 4. Then you have to fight for the camera because everybody's constantly recording. And the results that come from doing this speak in volumes. There are a lot of parents who start with, no, I don't want my kid photographed. But after a year of looking at everybody else's kid in the feed, they go, kind of would be nice to have a photo of my child at this event. So, and that's something that happens naturally again. None of this should come across as like this pushy, you gotta take photos, Dan said so. That's not how it works. There's one big chunk that I'm gonna leave maybe 10 minutes for at the end that has to be a part of this, but you guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be easy anyway. So we have another question.
So one of the things that I'm wondering about is you keep mentioning the like and utilizing that. Is do through social media and that kind of thing, if I like constantly, that kind of stuff, does social media all of a sudden stop recognizing me as much for my likes?
does it devalue your life?
Exactly.
Okay, so this is a big question and it's a big debate because no social network wants to give that algorithm secret out. The reality is, a lot of the tests that I've seen, hashtags on Facebook are not massive for building growth. Twitter, that's a different animal. As far as likes go, likes don't depreciate in value. And this is one of the reasons why the companies in India will say, we like your post 10,000 times, it'd be fantastic. Because they know that's going to get you organic reach. So they'll say, give me $1,000 and I'll give you 1,000 likes. And people do that and it works because there isn't a depreciation in the like. And I think the reason why social media networks don't depreciate the like is because it's a fast, easy conversion for them to show to companies. Oh, spend thousands of dollars on Facebook ads and look at all the likes that you got. So they want this metric too.
So I mean, John's super active on Facebook,
I can't
I'm
believe it.
gorgeous.
but I mean, John, go to your last post from
Why?
yesterday.
Yeah, not
Go to
today.
your last post- Go to your last post from yesterday.
Okay,
How many likes did you have?
not quite 100, but
Okay, you're
just
still-
under, just under.
But the point is that you're sitting around this table, if it doesn't depreciate, which I didn't realize, I figured if I was liking something I was depreciating, so I don't like as many things as I should. But should we not just be smashing that every time we see anything?
Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so.
But if it's really good, we should be sharing it. Like, hit the share, get it on
Well,
your page.
honestly, I've always thought that it depreciated, so I only like the occasional 1, 2, 3 things a week.
Smash the heart.
But the other thing is, like, especially if it's in a closed group or whatever, then you can't share it.
If it's in a closed group, you can't share it. That's true. But you can like it.
Yeah. But
Um,
you're still only repeating that within the same circle.
Yeah.
What we do is, if we want a public post, I'll post it on my private Facebook page, share it into the private group, and they can follow that and just share the public post I made. Because there's a lot of, no offense, older people, older leaders, and it took us a very long time to convince them that Facebook was not bad, and it was a good thing, but also we still make it private for reasons, and
For great reasons.
Yeah, for great reasons, yeah.
addresses, because we don't want people to be like, oh, I'm just going to show up at this box, but you know, there's a bunch of clover buds there.
So like I was saying with the video camera example, if you have to start off when you go back to your club and say, we're really going to be active in our Facebook group and it's private, and that's the comfort that they need to get going, great. It will evolve though. As they see more and more of the success that brings and how that brings you into the community, people warm up to it. It really does grow in a fast way. I need a new piece of paper. So smash like. The other thing I want to mention on likes was there are some studies that are showing likes appreciate in value when they are common. So if you just go down your Facebook feed and hit heart on everything, it's not going to depreciate the heart. It's not going to say, well, your likes are worth less because you like everything. You're just a happy person who likes everything, and they accept that. But if all you ever like are people quilting, or people knitting, or people milking cows, it's going to recognize that, and that's going to grow to the other people in your network that also like cows. That's just something that every algorithm does. It goes, oh, you like cows? They also like cows. Let's make you both like cows together. Because they're going to get more hearts, they're going to get more shares, and that's what the platform wants, is engagement. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about business versus personal or volunteer versus personal? Is it all one thing as a volunteer?
Business versus personal. In regards to 4-H.
Well,
Like
so
how-
for example, for you don't post about your family and everything when you're doing business. So with us, is it all just intermingled because we're volunteers with family, with community?
I get what you're saying. For me, it would be if you are somebody who just comes out of your, let's say you're a member of the executive for your area, okay? And you've just come out of a meeting. A lot of you guys I see on, well, the people anyway that ran this event, I saw 4-H listed on their LinkedIn. And that's where a lot of the conference stuff really fell. And I think that that's appropriate. I don't think their next door neighbor wants to know that they were at an event necessarily as a planner. That's not going to be exciting stuff for them as much as their next door neighbor wants to know that their kid was at a club that they ran. So again, community is really great. You guys have relationships back home. You've got husbands, you've got wives. I would tell my wife, man, your cooking tonight was phenomenal. My mother-in-law could make the same thing, and I would say, that was awful. You would have different conversations with different people. And that's part of how social media works. It's just a digital conversation. So consider the relationship that you have on that network. Would you tell people in real life, hey, that 4-H club that I did was awesome last week? You would do it in real life, sure, go ahead and do it on your post. If you wouldn't tell them in real life, I got in a fight with a cow last week. Okay, don't put that on your
But I
Facebook.
feel like I'd be bombarding my own feed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bombarding the feed. Everybody, phone time again. Take out your phones, pick your social network of choice, pull the screen down and refresh it. And then we're going to wait 60 seconds and do it again.
The internet just like slowed right
So open up your network and just leave it. We'll keep rolling here. But the reality is, the myth with the feeds is people think they're more important than they are. Okay? The world is a big place. There are a lot of people creating a lot of content all the time. If I open my Twitter feed, and my Twitter feed comes on a tweet deck like this, it's got a dozen of them, these move at 60,000 posts a week. Is it possible for anybody to flood my feeds? No. Okay, you guys are probably not as connected. Hopefully you're not getting 60,000 posts a week into your feeds. But if you guys pull down your screens now, has that first image disappeared in your feed? Yeah. How often would you need to post in a day about 4-H to flood a feed? Every 5 minutes?
I'm not necessarily talking about the big feed, but if someone, let's say grandma, logs onto Facebook and wants to see what my family's doing, and all she sees is one specific topic, and has to scroll and scroll and scroll.
So if 4-H has completely dominated every aspect of your life and that's all you ever do, you will... You and I get out of coffee.
Yeah.
That's fine, because everybody knows John's that guy, and that's what they're going to get. So
Bless them for it.
even then, it's not a problem, because that's what they're looking for and expect from John. You, as mom, I know are going to have your latest crocheting project, what you made for dinner, the garden that's dying outside. All of that's going to be there in the feed. You can't bombard the feed. It is a huge myth. I don't know who started it. It's not true. You can't do it.
Okay, but what you might be getting at, so when I post stuff, like my personal brand is so tightly interwoven with 4-H that I know that it's going to be, 4-H seeing it. But you might be putting a 4-H post, that you want members and people to see, and then your next post is going to be something personal with the F-bomb in it. So there's something I think that's maybe worth discussing. We should be careful with.
So,
be careful with your personal brand, is what I'd say.
So I have my personal Facebook that's private, and even kids try to add me and stuff, and I'm not gonna add them because there might be an adult beverage on there. There might be I don't know, me doing something stupid. So I'm not gonna add kids on it. But so I made a separate Wellington 4-H one that the kids can see what I'm only gonna post 4-H stuff on there.
But then you have to go in and log in and log out and all of this, and it's not natural anymore.
It's not a login out at all.
Oh.
Into multiple accounts.
Yeah, you just
Okay,
go back
then.
and forth. You just have to make sure that you're on the right account when you post stuff.
this is outside. So this is outside of 4-H. Now, this is a general best practice that you should give to everybody you know. This is you in the real world. This is you in the digital world. If you wouldn't do it here, don't do it here. Period. So if you're worried someone's going to see you drop an F-bomb on digital, would you drop an F-bomb here? Crowd of children, you drop an F-bomb? Then why the heck are you doing it here? This is just basic life lesson now. This isn't marketing 101. This is, if you're a jerkhole in real life, please don't sign up for 4-H volunteer. That's for all of you guys too. Not region 2, the camera.
Not region 2.
So, great. Yeah, go ahead.
So what if we're posting pictures of our cattle, and since everybody's sharing it, then there becomes people who come on there and say, this is animal abuse, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. So, Facebook, Instagram, every network out there has this awesome feature. It's called the block button. This is built for all the wonderful people that have too much time in their life. Not 4-H volunteers, but all those fine folks out there at PETA who care for the animals. I've got nothing wrong. If you are a warrior on the internet and you are solving the world's problem one keyboard stroke at a time, good for you. But that's not what you're about. And I'm always about staying positive in your feeds. So if you're darn proud of that cow or your club and those kids, and somebody shows up and goes, well, that's stupid, block. Wow, that just refreshed the whole feed. I never have to deal with that person again, and unfortunately that person will never pollute this community again. And that's what, not unfortunately, fortunately, that person will never pollute your community again. Use the block button. It's there for a reason. And when those people get blocked enough, they're going to be very lonely in their feed. Not enough hearts. They'll need John. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, this might be a stupid question.
There's never a stupid question.
Well,
No, that's not what I tell my
that's
kids.
debatable. But, so, right now we have a Facebook page for Norfolk, but it's private, right? You have to ask to join, only myself and another leader can join, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of just older people that still don't understand Facebook, and there's bad people in the world, which yes, there are. So, would it be that crazy to make another Facebook page to make it public, to just have very secure things that can be shared?
Like alumni that want to stay in touch.
Yeah,
I-
or
I
like to
love
just do public
question-
posts, be like, hey, this is when the sign up is. Hey, look how much fun we're having, and you know, for sure, there is no location, there is no date and time. Those kids are allowed to be on Facebook. Safe.
I love questions that answer themselves. That's wonderful. So yeah, exactly. If you've got a private Facebook page that you're using with the intent of being private, but you want to have a public page to be public, yes, do
Well,
that.
would it be page versus group then? Private group, public
Well, that's what
page?
she means when she says private group. I just
Yeah.
didn't clarify that point. She understands what she's saying.
We added the word private to our private group so that when people didn't get confused about where they were putting
Yeah.
that information that might be sensitive.
Yes.
If you want to be public, just tell people you're being public and then be public. If you want to be private, be private. Just know the intent. As well, I don't know how big your different volunteer groups are, so that may be difficult to have multiple people managing multiple pages. So be aware of that as you go into it, that is a commitment on one or the other of the groups. Whichever one's not being used as often, there has to be a proactive effort put towards that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't make that proactive effort because of all the great things that we saw before. Okay, this says 3:45, you telling me 10 minutes.
Yeah, you have till 3:50.
Oh, okay. So the last part, and this is the biggest part, and John alluded to a little bit, where, was it John who said, or did you say, we should be liking each other's stuff?
Sharing and
Sharing and liking, okay. Again, 4-H likes to look in a lot of the times, and that's this weekend I'm hearing a lot of conversations about how should we interact with each other, okay? The reality is you should have somebody in your team, a communications director, somebody that's looking at those pages, and more important than the 4-H folks, I'm gonna try it close, I don't know that I can, yeah. You got it? Okay, so you've got 4-H people, and then you've got non-4-H people, like me. You're going to get comments, you're going to get likes, you're going to get shares. As that network grows and that stuff goes out there, more and more people are going to see it. Originally, your comments are all going to be from these folks. But then you're going to get one from this person. This is where the gold happens. Every single comment, every single share from somebody like this needs an engagement from you. And that's a commitment you need to make as a club. If somebody outside your club takes the time to offer a share, so they see something they love and they share it out with their own network, or they take the time to leave you a comment, and not one of those block comments, but a genuine comment, this looks amazing, I wish my son or daughter could do this, this must be answered. It can never be left blank. That opportunity for relationship is massive. The faster you get to that, the better off you will be. The better you reply to it, so not just, thanks for your message, but here's the short essay on why we love you and thank you for posting to us, and here's all the information. Like, you want this to be of value, showing you appreciate just this small comment. And it's like any relationship, right? If somebody comes and says, I love the presentation that you've got up on YouTube, John, you're not just going to go, oh, thanks for that, and walk away. You're going to take the time to engage. So be real in those conversations that you're having digitally. And I know that sounds funny, but that's the reality of it. The trick to social media is I'm gonna blow your minds here. Be social. Huh? Crazy, right? Okay.
Joe, you volunteered for this.
The other thing that I want to mention to folks that are on Instagram and folks that are on Twitter, you have better options than Facebook. Facebook only allows you for the comment back. Twitter, this is where I really blow things up on Twitter, is every time somebody tags me or comments me or asks me a question, they get a video reply from me. Now, you may not all be hot to that topic, but when somebody knows that you took the time out of the massive bombarded internet feed to pause for 30 seconds and send them a video conversation saying, I love what you're saying, here's my thoughts on it, or I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, that means the world. And those people follow, and they share, and they are dedicated to who you are from that point on, because the whole world stopped for them for 30 seconds. It literally costs me nothing, and it gains me a follower for life, which is exactly what happens with 4-H. Somebody said something about the 4-H itch, where they join that club for the first time, and they get the itch, and then they're done, and 60 years later, they're Jim Coombs up at the front saying, I'm here, right? And that's how this works, and this can be the same. If you take the time and make somebody feel valued for their interaction, they're going to feel valued for their interaction. And they're going to stay with you for a long, long, long time.